Welcome, everybody, to the Consumerify podcast. Today, we have Yotam Haroosh, who is a business consultant for auto finance with a very interesting company called Lightico. Yotam, welcome to the pod.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
And Yotam, where are you located right now?
So I'm based in Tel Aviv, Israel, actually, running most of my engagements from here, but also traveling a lot to the US. So kind of here and there, and happy that we can fly again.
Yeah, amen. And interestingly enough, not the last time, but the first time I met you was right before the pandemic when we were in Vegas at one of the big auto finance conferences. And we, put it mildly, we hit it off, right? I think you, me, and Daniel Perry from True Decision were met each other and spent some time kind of talking business over a couple beverages. It was a very good time.
Yes, that was amazing, actually. And I'm remembering the conversations and how everything went well, and all the engagements with lots of people, with you, with Daniel, and with some others together. It was great meeting people in person. So yeah, it feels like it's coming back now.
Yeah, we're all excited to get back, and you'll be at the NAF conference coming up at the end of August. That's August 30th to September 1st. That's in Plano, Texas. Looking forward to that. But look, in the spirit of these conversations, and for folks that have been listening to the pod, that's what I'm trying to cultivate here. I'm trying to cultivate some education, make sure people are keeping on top of stuff. But a lot of it is, can we recreate that kind of like having a drink after a session kind of conversation where people really kind of break things down? And I wanted to get into the topic of mobile engagement, mobile enablement. And Yotam, you were the first kind of name that came to mind because we're going to get into it. Okay. But, I want to talk about the broader adoption of mobile engagement and mobile enablement, Yotam. I'm interested in what you've been seeing because it's really core to your product. I've seen a great deal of activity on my end especially since the pandemic, but with somebody at your level and with a company like yours with so much reach and span, I'd really be interested to hear what you guys have been seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a very interesting topic. Mobile phones are not with us in the last year or two, right? But I think that, all the consumers these days are with their mobile phone all the time, 24/7. So that just brings lots of industries, even if they were operating in a paper-based or face-to-face dependencies with consumers. Now, they want to allow their customers to complete as much tasks they can through a very efficient process. So, just imagine yourself that for buying something at Amazon these days, I'm going to go and tell you, hey, you gotta, you have a document waiting in your inbox. Go ahead, print it, fill in information, sign, scan, send it back, and I'll take care of it afterwards. So it doesn't make sense. So all that efficiency and intuitiveness and easy to do business type of approach is something that we see that is pretty much shifting and accelerating because of the pandemic. We've been discussed so many times before, but look at Zoom, right? Everybody knows Zoom and know how to have conference calls with video on through the mobile, through the desktop, through the PC, doesn't matter. It's convenient. At the same quality through a mobile, just like a PC or laptop. So
in the old days, we used to think of creating customer portals or like a new collections, interface for our servicing agents or something. But more so nowadays, what mobile enablement means to me is that what I see as a consumer is what you see as my agent. And it's there's really no difference in a way. But also at the same time, quite paradoxically, what I see is exactly the opposite of what you see, right? It's going to be catered to me as a consumer. The things that I need to see are vastly different from you as a collector in some ways as well. And that to me is kind of the power of the whole mobile engagement, mobile enablement movement. And like I said, I've seen a lot. I think I would say, at least in auto, a vast majority of the folks that I've been working with Northridge, right, to come up with a loan management solution, they are very much looking to remove friction. And if they're not already looking to remove friction, once we step through their process, once I tell them about the ways that they can remove friction and why it's important, then there's just a great deal of interest there. And I mean, what do you think, Yotam? I mean, how important? I have ideas about what removing friction delivers. Bottom line, right, and top line. Quite frankly, I want to hear from you what you think the real value of removing friction is in the lending process.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the auto finance space, it's a process for the consumer, right? But not only, also for the finance companies. It's a multi-step process. It's not purchasing a pair of shoes online or something at Amazon. It's a multi-step process. Typically, most of the customers don't know a lot about it. So it's not intuitive by definition. It's very paper-based. And then that's just really creating, if you take that with the mobile impact or the mobile first impact, let's say, that we see that is on a huge rise, we know a few things. One, time kills deals, right? So that's why you want to be in mobile first, because that's where all your customers are at. But then, customers really are looking for always the best rates. But on the other hand, they're willing even to pay a little bit slightly higher just to have an easy, intuitive process, somebody that can walk them through whatever they're not understanding, instead of creating more and more touch points and, hey, get back to me, or I'll send you an email and I don't know when you're going to see it and reply back. So, and then, if you are as a finance company not replying right now, right? Customers can reply within a couple of days or 3 days. But whenever they reply, they expect you to get on top of it and service them. Even if you're trying to make a sale, service actually starts already through the sales process or sales experience, like we like to call it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can have a frictionless, let's say, or almost frictionless process for the customer, something that you can guide them through, something that they will know whenever they hang up the phone, they are kind of done with it.
Mm-hmm.
That will be a major impact for top and bottom lines. And I think it can give also a great understanding for the customer. Hey, what should I expect from the service level and quality from that finance company whenever I'm going to be an actual customer after the sale itself? Yeah.
One of the big places that I think this can really help a small to mid-sized player is, think about the larger finance companies. I'll pick on Ian and Steve. Let's say Westlake or a GLS, for example. As a smaller lender, I deal with folks that are kind of on that early stage, and they have a lot of questions about how they can compete with a Westlake or a GLS, for example. And I just throw out those two names, but let's just think broadly about a larger organization that has a vastly different cost structure, a vastly different, much lower cost of funds. And they have such a high volume of loans going through that they can just do so much more economically. You don't want to go head to head with them on pricing because, like I said, their cost structure is vastly different from yours. But when you think about mobile engagement or mobile enablement, you can take advantage of the nimbleness and the smaller size of your organization. And if you have these tools, I think you create a vision and for the consumer could actually have a better experience with you through the engagement process than they could with a larger organization. And that's, to me, what one of the big benefits of these tools really can be. The other one is, obviously, in non-prime auto, you see a lot of apps, but very few actually do you close. And I think a lot of that breakdown and a lot of the loss that you have there of customers attriting through the process has a lot to do with your own process. How many times, Yotam, have you been trying to go through a sales process? Somebody says, hey, you got to buy these you said shoes earlier. Like, you got to buy these shoes. They're great. Okay. Yeah, I like them. Cool. I'll get them. Yeah. And they're good price. You get online and then it's asking you all these questions and it wants this and that. And then you say, screw it. You just throw up your hands. You say, screw it. I think that's a piece that we all have to confront within our process. Cause like you were saying, if we're sending papers back and forth and using fax machines and bringing stipulations into the dealership, it's maybe not the best way. So, I mean, when you and I were looking at some visuals earlier, and I don't know if now would be the right time, but like in terms of visioning out how that process, how a couple of those steps could look like, you guys at Lightico have come up with some ideas, and conceptually speaking, like, if we looked at this chart, it kind of helps you see some visuals of, not a chart, but a slide, whatever. For folks that are watching this on YouTube, you can see this little visual, but maybe we can pull that up. Can we walk through that, Yotam?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe just a short background before that. So I think that everything you said is pretty correct, right? We see few impacts. One, we see the big companies out there that maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, thought like, self-service is the king, right? You're going to have self-service channels. Customers can just go there, complete everything by themselves.
Right.
And I have the time, or I can do all the backstage work or back office work and make it happen and close the deal and fund it, of course. But now more and more companies are seeing that, first of all, they need to be everywhere, meaning online, phone, and also in some sort of a hybrid voice/digital solutions that they need to adopt.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's a multi-step process with lots of tasks the customers need to complete. And then what about the dealer, right? Eventually, as an indirect lender, you're working with your dealer network. You want to make them happier too. So you want to have for them also some sort of an effortless process. And 2 years ago when I was meeting with subprime lenders, they were telling me, yeah, I'm waiting for STIPs. And I have a 3%, 4% conversion rate, let's say, from apps to close deals. And whatever the dealer is not sending back to me, this will affect his payment. And, I won't be able to pay him until he's sending me all the information. But then think a little bit deeper. For him to get all the information, he needs to get faxes and emails and call the customer to a face-to-face meeting in the dealership for an hour or two. And that just drags the cycle time. So then, let's say the big guys over there were thinking about how can we either build or acquire solutions that will enable us to do things remotely.
Yeah.
And then, have some direct capabilities during the funding phase to reach the customer directly, collect whatever is missing, whether it's a STIP, whether it's some signatures or filling out any specific form, maybe even setting up an ACH already, and just pay the dealer faster. You're not getting the dealer out of the process, and you're delighting your customer. And of course, you're increasing the efficiencies of your funders and underwriters.
Yeah. Yeah. If you tell that dealer, hey, okay, I've got an offer from the big bank, right? Let's say it's, $10,000 piece of collateral. They're going to give you this other lender is going to advance them 12,000 or whatever. You're advancing them 11,000. So dollar for dollar, they're going to go with the other guy. But the other guy's big and kludgy, and they take about 5 days on average to fund. And as a dealer, I have to gather all these stipulations. I have to be on the phone with the customer. I'm coming in and out. I'm doing all this work. In my mind, I'm doing all your work for you. That's what the dealer, right? That's what they think. I'm doing all your work for you versus what you just articulated, which is, what if I could fund you faster? I mean, if I was a salesperson, I could crush, right? You walk into the deal, you say, yeah, I know you got to deal with this other big bank. That's great. But I can fund you faster, and I'm not going to make you have to jockey all these stipulations with the consumer. I would seriously consider taking that $11,000 check, especially if it's going to take an extra 5 days of me schlepping back and forth with STIPs with the consumer. That's right. That's what it means to me. I think it's great when you can come up with a solution, because the dealer is an important party to the transaction, right? You have to keep that individual party happy.
That's right. And you got to compete with the other lenders out there that the same dealer is working with. So, yes. I mean, if you can offer that dealer, hey, for all the applications you're going to send to me, I will pay you faster, like we said. And I can, I can close the loop on some of the items, the last items I need to in order to seal the deal. Yeah. And that will create that competitive edge. So eventually dealers will say, okay, I'm going to go with Joel because whenever I'm sending Joel an application, I know I'll get paid faster. My customer will be more happy, and I won't have to coordinate and schedule meetings with it.
Yeah.
So everybody already happy, and this is why we build some capabilities that we are that with them we are allowing. I'm just going to present the customer actions that we are allowing through our solution.
This is the slide that I love. And I know I got ahead of myself, and thank you for being patient, Yotam, but I love this. This is the meat. This is showing the meat of what we were talking about coming to life. And this is kind of what Lightico does, right?
That's right. So we basically build a platform that you can, a platform with multiple capabilities that will allow any lender, also dealers, by the way, we're engaging lots of dealers, dealer chains, and lots of dealers that are also financing the loan for the customer. But for the lenders themselves, we can allow all of their teams, by the way, lots of them are working from home these days or just working remotely with a customer, right? So we allow them to use our platform and then collect any missing signature from a customer. They can go and fill out forms together with the customer over the phone remotely and help them through the completion of that document, verifying identities because you're not meeting with a customer face-to-face. So you want to make sure that you can prevent fraud. You can collect all the digital consents, TCPA and others, and collecting STIPs. And you can allow your customers to complete all these actions with or without your guidance through that process to make sure that you can reduce the cycle times and increase the conversion rates. And this is it's pretty significant for these companies, especially the ones that are servicing the customers after they finance the loan, because they will have the same capabilities also on the servicing side. So imagine all the flexibility that you can go through in a mobile-first type of capability. By the way, you can complete all these actions also through the PC or through laptop, but mobile is just faster, and everybody are there. And what we're bringing in here to the industry is this new concept of a single solution or a single platform that can take care of lots of the steps during the financing process and servicing processes, with lots of flexibilities, either for integrations, automations, but first and foremost, agents working remotely with customers, including guidance and collaboration. If you look at Zoom for 1 second, what did this capability of Zoom video conferencing really did to the market, right? You can share a screen, you can show things, you can make it more visualized. So whenever you can walk the customer through all these documents and steps, that's where you're gaining his trust, you're gaining his loyalty, but also you're making it frictionless for the agent, the funder, the underwriter, the customer, and the dealer eventually.
What we're looking at for folks that don't have the visual is a nice slide that has the steps that you would kind of automate. But well, it's a high level, right? But it shows screenshots of the phone, everything from e-signature and e-form where the customer's completing. Maybe you want to capture how they're going to make that payment. If they want to set up ACH now, go ahead. Identity verification, digital consent, and stipulation collection. And there's a pay stub that the customer maybe might have scanned in on their phone or something. How much of this, Yotam, how much of this process do you find when you bring up a new company on your platform? How much of this is kind of pretty standard, right? Okay, standard implementation versus, oh man, this is really kind of very unique and bespoke solution. Where do you think most fall? Kind of, more standard, more bespoke, somewhere in between?
Yeah, great question. So, something that we have seen in the let's say, few years now. 3 years ago, everybody were going towards a digital, digital projects, digital transformation projects. And you look at these companies, and it took them like 2, 3, 4, 5 years to execute it and roll it into the market. What we did here is basically build a solution around the user. Now, the user would be either the agent managing the conversation, the customer, the end consumer that is providing the information, and then, of course, all the business and technical users to either implement, deploy, and manage the solution. So we offer a multi-phase type of deployment. You can start off standalone simply by having your agents communicating with customers through the solution that we offer them. It's a kind of an agent console that we provide, very easy. Nobody needs to install anything. Also, the customer can just get a link through a text message or email and simply go into a collaboration room where all the tasks can happen. Instead of sending the customer to different channels, different links per task, you can have everything centered in that solution.
Okay.
And most of our clients, by the way, including the tier 1 clients, publicly traded companies, and from the biggest you can think about in the industry, started off with a standalone solution with no integration. And we find out that was very helpful for them to build a business case with their IT resources in order to integrate the solution through our APIs. So after you see, hey, I was just able to slash the cycle time for collecting STIPs with this solution from 4 days to an hour and a half, let's say, right? Imagine what we can do if we can get all these documents stored automatically under the customer record in the CRM or loan management system, and get all that data transferred automatically between the systems. And the next step would be probably to initiate these sessions, that's what we call them, collaboration sessions, right from the customer record inside the loan management or CRM system, like we do today with Salesforce, for example.
Yeah.
So,
and this accomplishes
step by step. That's the main thing here.
I love it. So I think about, if you're doing a deal with somebody and you need a data room, right? you set up a Google Drive or something and you just start populating stuff in there. Well, this is our sandbox, this is our place for us to have our deal. And you have the open session concept. And I love the way that you kind of create that room initially. And then you can automate further into the different, individual sessions that you kind of laid out on the mobile phone visual that we saw before. I love that. Another big benefit here, Yotam, that we talked about earlier is not only do you get the dealer out of the business of having to schlep all these stipulations, but I do think it's far better from a risk and fraud standpoint to deal directly with the consumer to get all that information versus going through the dealer. I think it's just the fewer handoffs, the better, right?
That's right. And it's not like you're getting the dealer out of the process. Eventually, you're just getting in through the funding and underwriting process just to collect it faster and reduce the headache for the dealer and for the customer.
Yeah.
The solution itself is encrypted from end to end, and we have lots of capabilities to purge the data from our US servers. We can push all that data back to your system or to any, let's say, S3 bucket or any other data center you want. All that can happen automatically with automatic events. So yeah, that is pretty simple, and we work with our customers, clients to make that happen. I just wanted to say that something everybody really needs to understand is the fact that the current processes are not real time, and if you're not closing that deal real time as possible, somebody else is probably closing that deal, and that's where the consumers today, they're so fast, they're faster than you guys probably. That's why you need to have a real-time solution that can really consolidate all these tasks into a single channel that is also open for the customer. So not necessarily he will provide the SIPs today, but in a couple of hours, if he's back at home or he's at the bank, he can definitely provide that information afterwards. You can consume it automatically and continue with the process.
And that on that note, Yotam, that really kind of brings it home. You're going to be, well, first off, thank you so much for kind of enlightening us on the mobile engagement. I'm sure that people who see this, if you're just listening, as always, you can check this out on YouTube. We try to post these to YouTube as well. But if you're in the industry and you go to the major events, you're going to be at the NAF conference at the end of August, early September, and folks can kind of come and you can show them this process in your booth. But for folks that just have to talk to you now, what's a good way for them to get a hold of you or anybody, maybe give your email and phone. Yeah, I think you're old school like I am. You want to get the people.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, you can always go to lightico.com website and go there and look at our fabulous website with all the information and case studies that we brought from the industry. You can always contact me directly, yotam@lightico.com, and even call me 646-4800-733. I'll be at the NAF conference. I'm really looking forward for that. I'm going to come with my team. And we'll have enough time to meet with anybody who wants to discuss and get some consultants on how they can digitally transform their customer journeys and increase the efficiencies of their operation. So, yeah.
Believe it, folks. This is the real deal. Yotam, thank you so much for being on the podcast today, and definitely looking forward to reconnecting with you and many, many others at the end of August. I was going to say end of the month. We're not quite there. We'll be there soon.
We're close. Yeah. Thanks,
right,
Joel. The pleasure is all mine, and we'll keep in touch.
Thanks, Yotam.